bringing you Thailand's insights. Special, exclusive, in-depth, from the direct source. Let's get inside. Gain the insight with the insider.
Sawadee krab and welcome to the Insider. Bangkok is regional center for many UN offices. We have known the Grand Escape building on Ratchadamnern Avenue. But here in the heart of Bangkok stands another regional office for one of the UN's most active agencies, UNESCO, or the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. We all know about the UNDP's Lifetime Achievement Award in Human Development that was presented to His Majesty King Bhumibol several years ago. And we have seen how His Majesty's sufficiency economy philosophy have been acknowledged internationally as a viable approach to sustainable development. But back in 1990, His Majesty King Bhumibol was also presented with an award by UNESCO known as the Philae Medal. In fact, much of the development work and royal project initiated by the King correlates to the work done by UNESCO then and now. To learn more about this and the work of UNESCO and the King's philosophy, I have the privilege to talk with our special guest, Mr. Gwang-Jo Kim, the Director of UNESCO Bangkok. สวัสดีครับ สวัสดีครับคุณคิม Thank you very much for giving us the honor to come to your prestigious office. But first of all, can you share with us what is the UNESCO role?
Well, UNESCO, as you know, as a part of UN system, is in a nutshell to promote and peace, like other UN agencies. But we do it through our mandated areas, namely education, cultures, and science. So if you look at the preamble of UNESCO Constitution, it says, since wars begin in the minds of men, the defense of peace must be constructed in the minds of men.
Yes.
That's what UNESCO says. So we try to promote peace through education, through peace education and others. And also we do it through our expertise in culture and sciences. So UN as a system is meant to promote peace, security, and development.
Why the regional office is in Bangkok? What brought UNESCO to Bangkok, Thailand?
Well, it is quite obvious, apart from the fact that the government of the Kingdom of Thailand hosted this office more than half a century ago by now, back in 1961. If you look at the map of the world, map of Asia, Thailand is just in the middle. Also, Thailand is maybe the only country in the whole of Asia Pacific which has been able to maintain sovereignty, meaning they never colonized by other foreign forces. And number three, back then and still now, Thailand is in good shape in terms of economic development and stability and so on and so forth. So for all these reasons, UNESCO regional office for education and perhaps for culture as well is located here in Bangkok, Thailand, covering 48 member states in Asia and Pacific. By the way, our office in Bangkok is by far the biggest office outside our headquarters in Paris in terms of geographic coverage, number of people that we serve, and the mandate.
What about the role of UNESCO in Bangkok?
So this office we call UNESCO Bangkok office, and this is Asia Pacific Regional Bureau for Education. So it has some dual functions. When it comes to education, this is a regional bureau, as I say, covering 48 members in Asia Pacific. But also we cover more or less the same number of countries about cultural matters. But at the same time, this is what we call cluster office, covering the countries in the Greater Mekong region, including our host country Thailand, Laos, PDR, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Myanmar. And on top of this, we also cover Singapore. So with this duality of our functions, sometimes it may be very confusing. But I want to note that education, being an Education Regional Bureau, this is the biggest office, as I said, outside headquarters, because education as a sector, what we call in UNESCO, is by far the biggest sector compared to sciences, cultural, communication, and information in terms of the budget, in terms of staff, etc. So that's why our office is very big, and the main role for this office is therefore to promote our education work for the entire region. And for close countries, we work in all our mandated areas, not just education, but culture, sciences, etc.
And how Thailand support UNESCO in Bangkok?
Thailand is already what we call upper middle country. So in a way, it has its own capacity to advance all this agenda, education and others. But nonetheless, the country needs us and vice versa. And first of all, I think we think we are very fortunate to have this unlimited support of our host country. For example, this office was renovated thanks to the generous support from your government. So that is one indication that how supportive government Thailand has been over the years. And apart from that, we host so many meetings in Thailand, Bangkok in particular, because of geography, location, because of this culture of hospitality, great food, and so on and so forth. Last week, we hosted a big meeting in the middle of Bangkok. So all member states sent their representatives in our meeting. That was about the SDG for Education 2030 agenda, how we jointly promote this SDG for in our member states. So that's an example. So all in all, we get great support from your government.
So since the UNESCO main focus is on education, and Thailand under this current administration also focus on the educational reform. So how do you see the development in education system in Thailand?
Well, I don't know whether it's appropriate for me to comment on your education development, but all I know about your system is, at least compared to other countries, Thailand invests a lot in education. So basically you are making basic education compulsory and free of charge with your tax money. I understand that Thailand as of now spent almost 1/4 of government budget in education, which is perhaps the highest in the region. So that's why I say you invest a lot in education. Also, when it comes to Education for All initiative, which by the way was initiated in h.m.king back in 1990 in your country, Thailand already attained the EFA goal, now moving towards Education 2000, which is more holistic. So in all aspects, Thailand education system, I understand, has been evolving quite dramatically over the last several decades. But I would say you still have many challenges like others when it comes to quality of education, quality of learning. According to the various assessments, Thai students are not learning enough. So, and also in the context of, ASEAN 2015, the Thailand as a country need to stay its own competitiveness in all areas, including education. So in that regard, I would say you still have challenges, but again, the investment is quite high, and the coverage and access has been expanded dramatically over the years. So I think overall, I'm quite positive about the education development in the country.
I want you to look back perhaps nearly few decades ago. Education in Thailand is the key factors of country's development. And under His Majesty King Bhumibol Adulyadej, he also realized that education is the key to narrow the gap within the society. So have you aware or learned of the project like the distance learning system, which is initiated by His Majesty the King?
Yes, I think I have a good knowledge of His Majesty King's philosophy of self-sufficiency. In that, I think His Majesty King is well recognized by international community for his contribution to regional rural development and the quality of life promotion. So in this context, I understand he promoted education and knowledge development. And in so doing, the distance modality, I understand, was introduced by His Majesty King many years ago. So in that regard, I would say that His Majesty King is a pioneer in terms of using technology to deliver quality education to those who are living in remote areas or marginalized.
So he understands that what needed for developing country in terms of country's development, and the guiding principle or the key principle is under the philosophy of the sufficiency economy. How does this philosophy support the work of UNESCO?
I'm happy to tell you that the most recent development agenda called SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, 17 of them. If you look at those 17 goals, all of them are in one way or the other connected to self-sufficiency. The notion of self-sufficiency and sustainability is very well embedded in SDG. All SDGs, in particular, SDG number 2 is zero hunger. SDG 4 is quality learning and education. SDG life on earth, life below water. All these goals are somewhat related to His Majesty King's philosophy. With that, we UNESCO's work is very much in line with self-sufficiency economy, because at the end of the day, what we try to get at is to help individual society to use education as a means or as a source of sustainable development or growth. So in that regard, we've been able to work closely with Her Royal Highness Princess Ma Chakri Sinington, who is our good ambassador. The Office of Princess OPSP, we've been working closely with the Princess Office to promote this notion in real way, not just in this country, in remote villages, but also in the Great Mekong countries like Vietnam, Laos, PDR, Cambodia, and also in Indonesia. Back in 2012, I understand we began pilot schools in Indonesia, West Java in particular. So in a way, His Majesty King's philosophy is being operationalized through our Good Ambassadors project with us in this. Altogether, if my memory is correct, we have 28 schools in these 4 countries where this, the sustainability, self-sufficiency economy is embedded in this the pilot school programs.
The Thai government is now working on the concept of the SEP, Sufficiency Economy Philosophy, to SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. And I do believe that this would help not just only the Thai people, but we also working to help the world humanity. So what would be the support that this government can render to UNESCO?
Well, it's not just support to us, UNESCO, UN system, but the best would be for Thailand, your country, to reach other countries which are still struggling in terms of economic development, etc., using your development process as a model. So in my humble opinion, the best would be for you to lead by example. For example, His Majesty King's philosophy, it can be realized through many different projects, like conservation of water and risk mitigation against flood or drought, you name it. There's so many projects for rural community, agriculture community. These examples can be emulated or used by other countries so that they do not repeat the mistake. If there were any mistakes, for them not to repeat the mistakes, but rather to build on the successful cases in your country. I think you have vast examples from different areas. That would be very, very useful. But of course, you have this foreign reaching out called TICA, right? I understand in the context of South-South cooperation, TICA is trying to reach other countries, which I think is a very good approach. So from time to time, it would be good for us as multilateral organization to work with TICA and other government entities to work for other countries in the context of South-South cooperation. Again, the best would be to use the showcase from your country, using your country development experience over the last several decades could be very useful.
So in Thailand at the moment, as we mentioned earlier, there are so many Royal Initiative projects. Which project that can be collaborate with UNESCO in terms of setting a good example or to be used as the a tool to support UNESCO work?
I can think of a couple of examples already from within the country. For example, you have so many community learning centers. According to the latest statistics, you have around 10,000 what we call CLCs in the country. And these community learning centers are centers for adult education and also help some out-of-school children, etc., or marginalized population in the country in terms of helping them to develop their life skills and vocation skills and others for them to sustain their lives. I think this is a very good example. And my colleagues are already working with officials in your country to promote these Thai CLCs and see if this can be adopted in one of the other country context, even outside the region. Once I remember our colleagues were called on by one of the Arab states to come and share the experience from our region. I remember my colleague used an example from Thailand, community learning centers. Another example would be for you to try to embrace these minority groups, migrant children, out-of-school children, and so on and so forth. So again, as I said, the best way to help other countries would be to use your country case and show them, this inclusive approach is very possible and feasible. So again, leading by example would be the best way.
You're talking about challenges in the future. Can you think of something? To be more precise, what kind of challenge that perhaps?
In the education sector in your country?
Yes.
As I said, maybe quality. Quality can be defined in many different ways. Again, in the context of this regional economic community, I understand that the one area, particular area that your government is very keen is to promote language education.
Language.
English language in particular, at least compared to some other ASEAN member states. This may be an area for you to improve, for Thai youngs to be able to better communicate, better function in an internationalized world. The quality, when it comes to quality learning, Thailand is not alone. Many countries are struggling with this quality issue in their own terms. But in your country, like I said, the coverage is already there. You have expanded education quite dramatically over the last several decades. So the basic school education is more or less universal, if I'm not mistaken, according to the latest statistic. And you have also very well diverse higher education system.
Other issue that you perhaps want to touch on apart from education, that you can see it will be like challenges for the region, for Asia Pacific?
Well, there are many challenges which are more or less similar in other countries. One challenge that I understand is the the declining fertility like some other countries, right? So your school-age population is somehow shrinking. And with that, and also this internal migration, people moving from rural area to urban area. So the schools in remote rural area are becoming smaller and smaller. And then the question is, how do you maintain these schools? Whether you have to merge them or maintain them or abolish them, this may be a real challenge. I do not have an answer, but depending on the context, you may have to tackle this issue. So on the one hand, there's a great increased demand for quality, and also in terms of delivery mechanism, you may have to streamline the school system, giving full attention to the changing demographic pattern and also economic pattern, etc.
Some issue that we just discovered that it is getting serious and more serious has been concern of His Majesty King Bhumibol long time ago.
Yes.
So I just want to ask you this, that in the eyes of the international community like UN or UNESCO, would you be able to, say something about King Bhumibol's legacy on the issue we are talking about?
I think His Majesty King's dedication achievement was very well recognized by us, UNESCO, and other entities from time to time. In early 90s, I understand both His Majesty King and His Majesty Queen were recognized by us, UNESCO, for their contribution to rural development, as I say, quality of life promotion. And more than a decade later, I think it was during the Kofi Annan's era, when he was UNSG, I think Kofi Annan awarded the first Human Development Lifetime Achievement Award to King Bhumibol Adunnyadet, again in recognition of his dedication and contribution to rural development in general and his contribution to uplifting of quality of life for those who are marginalized or excluded, as many as 60, 70 years. So he was very serious and is very practical in the sense that I understand he helped these people to improve their sanitation, water conservation, the production modality of food, and in so many different ways the king, His Majesty King, contributed to rural developments. So to date, this may be the biggest recognition by international community, by UNSC himself, 10 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, thank you very much for your time and your very informative information. And once again, thank you for giving the insider the honor, sparing your time with us. Sawadee krap.
Sawadee krap. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Khop krap.
The Charter of the United Nations has the face to promote social progress and better standard of life in larger freedom. This fundamental determination of the United Nations has been carried out by several agencies, UNESCO being one of them. Thailand is proud to host UNESCO in Bangkok. But most importantly, we are proud of our contribution to this global agenda, particularly through the benevolence of His Majesty King Bhumibol Adunnyadet. Thank you very much for joining me this week. Sawadee krap.